Smoke in the stars. The trade lanes of Sector 9 had always been peaceful. Merchant ships, diplomatic envoys, and explorers passed through without trouble. That was, until the Vakari showed up. The Vakari were a war-hungry species, big, scaled, and arrogant. They believed in power and fear, and they thought humans were soft. When a human science vessel named Solar Drift passed through Sector 9, the Vakari saw it as easy prey. It wasn't a warship. It carried no heavy weapons. Just a small crew and equipment for studying nearby stars. To the Vakari it was weak, unprotected, so they attacked. They didn't send a warning, no demand, no threat. They simply fired. Within minutes, the Solar Drift was hit. Its engines exploded. The crew sent a distress call, but no help came in time. The Vakari ship circled like vultures. Then they set the remains of the human vessel on fire using plasma torches, turning it into a floating grave. The Vakari laughed. They celebrated. They went into orbit above a nearby moon and slept. Because, to them, the fight was over, but it wasn't. Far away, aboard Earth's deep-range monitoring station, the last burst of data from Solar Drift reached command. A single word was decoded from the emergency beacon before the signal vanished. Attacked. Commander Ray was on shift. He stared at the red alert flashing on screen. No distress call had come from Sector 9 in years. He checked the ID. A human, civilian vessel, unarmed, scientific, and now gone. He didn't speak. He didn't call a meeting. He pressed one button. Activate Protocol Black. On Earth, deep under frozen ground, a facility stirred. Inside were people who had no names, just code names. They didn't wear uniforms. They didn't follow diplomats. They followed only one rule. If you hurt a human, we come. Within hours, 5 transport-class warships vanished from Earth's orbit. No announcements, no warnings, no flags. Back on the Vakari moon, the warlords awoke late. The fires of the human ship still flickered in the dark sky above. General Krogar, the Vakari leader, stretched his long arms and looked at the stars. Still nothing from Earth, he growled. Spineless as always. Another Vakari laughed. They'll cry to their council. They won't fight. They feasted on raw meat and sang war songs. They never noticed the sky shifting. Behind the moon, just beyond sensor range, 5 black warships hung in silence. No lights, no signals. Inside, the team prepared. Their leader, Commander Blake, stood in front of a tactical screen. They burned our ship, he said. No survivors. The crew was silent. Blake continued. No message. No mercy. He pointed to the Vakari base below. So we'll return the favor. He tapped a screen. Deploy. The Vakari never saw them coming. One by one, drop pods fell. From the dark. Silent. Precise. 5 humans landed in the heart of the moon base. No war horns. No speeches. Just action. By the time the Vakari alarms rang, it was already too late. The Vakari base was built for defense. Thick metal walls, turrets, guard towers, mines buried in the stone. But none of that mattered now. The first drop pod smashed into the outer yard. The second landed on the barracks roof. The third drilled through the hangar deck. 2 more came down near the command tower. Then the pods opened, and the humans stepped out. Not in shiny armor. Not in full squads, just 5 figures, dark suits, silent boots, eyes that didn't blink. Commander Blake stepped out of the lead pod. His rifle was already ready. Beside him, 3 of his team followed, each with their own tools of destruction. They didn't speak, they didn't need to. Inside the Vakari command center, alarms blared. Red lights flashed. Guards scrambled, weapons were loaded. General Krogar burst into the hall, eyes wide. What's happening? A scout ran forward. We're under attack. Small force. 5 contacts. 5? Krogar growled. Just 5? Yes, General, but they're not Vakari. Krogar's claws flexed. Then who? The scout hesitated. Humans. The room went silent. Krogar's second-in-command laughed. Impossible. We burned their ship. Another Vakari growled. Let them come, we'll crush them like insects. Krogar didn't laugh. He knew fear. He'd seen what humans did in the old wars. He turned to the screens and saw camera feeds. Start cutting out one by one. They're already inside, he whispered. In the hangar, Blake moved fast. 2 Vakari guards spotted him and raised their rifles. He fired first. Clean, sharp shots. Both dropped before they could shout. Clear, he said. From above, Mira dropped down from a broken ceiling vent, blades in her hands. Explosives set on their fuel tanks. This place will burn. Kai appeared behind her, dragging an unconscious Vakari tech. We've got their internal maps now. They've sealed the command wing. Doesn't matter, Blake said. We go through it. Elsewhere in the base, Tom made his way down the main hall with heavy steps. His job was simple. Draw attention, hit hard. A squad of Vakari ran at him with heavy blasters. Tom didn't slow down. He picked up a metal crate and threw it with such force it crushed one Vakari instantly. Then he punched the floor. The shockwave knocked the rest off their feet. Lena, perched on a tower far above, watched through her scope. She clicked her comms. Tom, 6 more coming from the North Hall. Tom turned and smiled. Let them. He charged, back in the command tower. Krogar watched the feed go black. In less than 10 minutes, he muttered. He turned to his officers. Call the fleet. Call anyone. We need ships. No one is responding, one said. They're jamming us. Krogar grabbed the table, claws tearing into steel. This isn't war. This is punishment, Blake, and his team reached the inner control doors. Sealed, heavy. Mira planted 3 microcharges. Back. Boom! The doors blew inward. Smoke filled the hall. The humans stepped in through the flames like shadows. Vakari guards opened fire. Lena shot from the distance, taking out 2 through the windows. Blake moved like lightning. 1 shot, 1 kill. Kai spun through the smoke, his blade cutting silently. The Vakari screamed. Then, silence. Kroger stood at the back of the room, eyes wide, mouth open. He took 1 step back. You killed my crew, Blake said. You attacked a science vessel, burned it, left nothing. Krogar lifted his claws. We didn't know. Blake raised his rifle. Now you do. Later in orbit, the Vakari flagship picked up a message. It wasn't a voice. It was a video. Their base, in flames. Their leader, dead, and 5 humans walking away untouched. A simple message appeared on screen. You started this. We finish it. Vakari space was in chaos. The burning of the moon base had shocked their war council. General Krogar, their most feared commander, was dead. His forces had been wiped out by only 5 humans. The message had been clear. Earth didn't forget. Inside the War Council chamber, high above Vakari Prime, loud voices echoed through the dark stone walls. This is war. They crossed our line. We must strike Earth directly. But others hesitated. They destroyed our base in hours. They were only 5. What happens if Earth sends more? Silence followed that question. But the Supreme Warlord slammed, his clawed hand down. Send the fleet. We will not be mocked. Within hours, 37 warships were dispatched. Fighters, destroyers, cruisers, everything the Vakari could throw into space. Their destination, Earth. They expected fear. They expected a long battle. They were wrong. On board Earth's Orbital Defense Command, the incoming fleet was detected hours before it arrived. Commander Blake stood beside the Admiral, watching the red markers flood the screen. Vakari are coming, the Admiral said. Blake crossed his arms. We expected that. 37 ships. Blake nodded. We'll only need 6. The Admiral raised an eyebrow. Confident? They're angry, Blake replied. Anger makes you blind. He walked to the side room where his team waited. Tom cracked his knuckles. Finally. Round 2. Mira was checking explosives. This time we ended in space. Lena cleaned her rifle without a word. Kai simply nodded, blades on his back. Blake looked at all of them. You know the plan. Tom grinned. We don't stop until the last one runs. As the Vakari fleet entered Earth's outer sector, they saw nothing. No ships, no defenses. It looked empty. The lead commander of the fleet hissed, "They flee before us." But something was wrong. Too quiet. Too perfect. The fleet continued forward, deeper into the sector. Then it happened. A signal bounced through their systems. Then another. Suddenly, dozens of mines hidden in the debris fields lit up, guided mines, each with a human-built core. One after another, they detonated. Boom. 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 5 Vakari destroyers vanished in flames. Fighters spun out of control. Alarms screamed. From the shadows, Earth's hidden fleet decloaked, sleek warships, silent and deadly. 6 of them, led by the Black Comet, Earth's most advanced. Ship. Commander Blake sat at the front, helmet on, eyes locked forward. Target systems only, he ordered. No survivors. The battle began. Earth ships moved like ghosts, slipping between Vakari formations, cutting through armor, jamming their communications. Lena fired from a railgun turret, each shot knocking Vakari fighters out of space like dust. Kai and Mira led a boarding mission into one of the enemy carriers, disabling its weapons before blowing the core. Tom stayed on the front lines, piloting a small heavy-class fighter, ramming and blasting without mercy. The Vakari had numbers. Earth had precision and fury. Back on Vakari Prime, the Council received message after message. Ship 12, destroyed. Command cruiser down. Main line broken. Then the screen went black. No more reports. Just silence. Then a new video arrived. Commander Blake stood in the wreckage of the Vakari flagship. Behind him, the stars burned with wreckage. He stared into the camera. You burned our people. You laughed. He stepped aside to show the ruins of their fleet. Now it's our turn. Then the screen went dark. That night, the Vakari Council didn't argue. They didn't scream. They simply sat in silence, watching the flames in the sky. The war wasn't just over. It had never been a war. It was a warning. The Vakari High Council gathered in silence. Every screen showed the same truth. Dozens of warships gone. Their flagship destroyed. Their outer fleets gone. Their backup forces didn't even respond. No signals. No survivors. The warlord sat at the head of the chamber. His shoulders were slumped. His claws no longer shook in anger. He stared at the last image sent from space. The human team standing calmly on the Vakari command deck, surrounded by wreckage. The council speaker broke the silence. Earth has shown its strength. Another voice said, they didn't ask for land or resources. They didn't even demand prisoners. They only responded. A third voice whispered, we burned a ship, and now we bleed. The warlord finally spoke, his voice dry. We cannot fight this kind of war. No one argued. Back on Earth, inside the hidden mountain base, Commander Blake stood before the United Human Command. His team behind him, silent. One of the generals spoke. You destroyed an entire fleet. Blake nodded once. We sent a message. Another general leaned forward. What if the galaxy doesn't understand it? Blake replied. Then we say it louder. A transmission was prepared, short, direct. It would be sent not just to the Vakari, but to every known government across the stars. Blake stood before the camera. His voice was calm, without hate. This is Earth. We heard what happened to our science vessel. We saw the fire. We heard your laughter. He paused. We answered. The screen showed images of Vakari ships burning, the destroyed fleet, the moon base in ruins. We do not start wars. We do not invade. But we do not forget. If you hurt us, we come, and when we come, we finish it. He stepped forward. This is not a threat, this is a promise. The screen went dark. The message was sent. On Vakari Prime, the broadcast arrived in every home, every station, every school. Civilians watched in silence. Some wept, some turned away, but most understood. They had been lied to. The humans were not weak. They were not prey. They were the storm waiting behind the stars. The warlord stood before his people that night. "We have made mistakes," he said. "We broke peace. We attacked those who showed us none. Now, we ask Earth for peace." He bowed. Days later, a Vakari diplomatic vessel entered Earth space. It was unarmed. It broadcast one simple message: "We surrender. We seek peace." The human command didn't cheer. There were no parades. There was no gloating, only silence. Then the reply was sent: "Peace accepted. But know this: if another human is harmed, there will be no next time." Later that evening, the human team sat on a quiet hill near their base, watching the stars. Tom leaned back. "Think they'll ever try again?" Blake shook his head. "No, but someone else might." Kai spoke softly. "Then we'll be ready." Mira added, "We always are." Lena looked up at the sky, voice low. "The stars remember, and now so does the galaxy." In a distant system, an alien leader watched Earth's message. He turned to his advisors. "Never touch a human ship, not even by mistake." Weeks after the war ended, silence returned to Sector 9, but something still didn't sit right with Commander Blake. He sat alone in the darkened analysis room watching the last signal sent from the solar drift, the destroyed human science ship. Frame by frame, he studied it. A scan burst, a data wave, a strange flash of symbols. It wasn't just a standard transmission. Blake tapped his comm. "Lena, get to the war room, now." Later, in the base's meeting hall, the full team gathered. Blake stood at the head of the table. The room was dark, except for the hologram floating in the center, a recording from the solar drift. He rewound the last 10 seconds of its life, played it again, then paused. "Look here," he said, "right before the Vakari attack. This isn't a distress call. This is a file burst." Tom squinted. "A file? What kind?" "Encoded high-frequency scan data. Something big, very big." Kai leaned forward. "You think the Vakari knew?" "I don't," Blake said. "I think they were told." Mira frowned. "By who?" Blake pointed to the screen. "We found this burst hidden in the last package. It's not from the solar drift. It's from something else, something out there." A decoded image flickered into view, faint, fuzzy, but clear enough to recognize. A giant structure floating in deep space, wrapped in energy fields, older than anything on record. "Artificial," Blake said. "Ancient, not human. Maybe not even known to the Council." Lena stared. "And our science ship found it?" "Exactly. The solar drift accidentally picked up pieces of the signal while scanning a nearby star." Kai spoke quietly. "They didn't die because they were weak. They died because they discovered something they weren't supposed to find." Across the galaxy, the Vakari High Council received a coded message. It didn't come from Earth. It came from a world farther out, one unknown, hidden on no map, signed only with a symbol, a spiral of 7 stars. The message read, "You failed to stop them. We'll handle the next step ourselves." The warlord stared at it. His blood ran cold. "These aren't humans," he whispered. "There's something worse." Back on Earth, Blake stood before the Human Council. "Permission to follow the signal," he said. One general replied, "You want to go where the solar drift was headed?" "Yes," Blake said. "There's more at stake than a ship. Someone wanted our people dead, badly enough to push the Vakari into war." Another general leaned back. "What if this is bait?" Blake looked him in the eye. "Then we bite." Within 48 hours, a Black-class recon ship, Shadowspear, was launched from Earth's hidden dockyards. On board was Blake's full team. Destination: unknown sector beyond Vakari space, deep into the silent zone known only as the Rift. As they entered the darkness, Mira checked her equipment. Tom stretched, cracking his neck. "You think whatever's out here will be worse than the Vakari?" Lena replied. "The Vakari attacked out of pride." Kai finished her sentence. "Whatever's waiting here, attacked from fear." Back on Earth, an emergency signal blinked. Once, then twice. Then stopped. An old man at the edge of the council hall whispered, "They're waking it up." No one understood what he meant, but soon they would. The recon ship Shadow Spear drifted through the edge of the rift, an empty, silent place where no signals echoed and stars felt too far away. No maps marked it, no beacons blinked, only darkness. Inside the ship, Commander Blake sat at the controls, eyes fixed on the forward screen. The crew was quiet. Even Tom didn't make jokes. The rift had a strange pressure, like something unseen watching them. "Anything yet?" Blake asked. Mira checked the sensor logs. Still faint, but the signal is getting clearer. Something's broadcasting ahead. Lena adjusted the scope, lens on her long-range camera. "There," she said quietly. The crew leaned in. On the screen, hidden between layers of gas and broken rocks, was a massive circular shape. Not a ship, not a station, a structure. Old, cold, but still alive. Lights blinked slowly across its outer rings. Patterns formed, then vanished. Strange symbols moved across the surface like liquid metal. Kai spoke first. "That's not Vakari. That's not anything I've seen." Mira whispered, "It's been here a long time." Blake nodded. "Let's get closer." As the Shadow Spear approached, the ship's lights flickered, systems glitched, engines stuttered. Lena tapped her screen. "We're being scanned." Suddenly, a voice crackled over the comms. But it wasn't a language. It was thoughts, pushed into their minds, images and feelings. Flashes of worlds burning, stars collapsing, ancient fleets bowing before the structure, and one terrifying message: "Do not awaken the Guardian." Blake looked around. Did everyone hear that? They all nodded, faces pale. Tom said, "I don't like how that word feels in my head." Guardian. The ship latched onto the surface using magnetic clamps. The team stepped out into a long tunnel made of black, smooth material, not stone, not metal. The air was thin but breathable. The floor lit up under their boots. No doors, no walls, just a long corridor with a pulse. They moved silently, weapons ready. Then they saw it. A central chamber. In the center stood a pod. It floated, unmoving, inside a ring of light. Blake stepped closer. Inside the pod was a humanoid figure, tall, armored, sleeping. Its eyes were closed, but somehow it felt awake. Mira scanned the pod. It's not dead. It's not even asleep. It's paused. Lena read a symbol etched below the pod. "I think this is a prison." Tom looked around. "Then why does it feel like it's watching us?" Suddenly, the floor shook. Lights turned red. A booming sound echoed through the chamber. "Something's coming," Kai said sharply. From outside. Back on the ship, automated sensors lit up. 3 alien vessels, unknown design, no identification, just sharp black shapes and silence. They weren't Vakari. They were older, smarter, and they were here to stop the humans from waking. What was inside? Blake tapped his comm. "Back to the ship. Now." As they ran, the voice returned. "You were warned." Mira turned back once, looking at the sleeping being. "What if that thing isn't a monster?" Kai replied. "Then why are they so afraid of it?" Tom added, "Sometimes monsters are built to stop worse monsters." As they reached the Shadow Spear, enemy ships opened fire. The ground exploded behind them. Blake yelled, "Launch! Get us out!" The ship lifted as beams shot past. Lena fired from the deck gun, striking one attacker hard. Sparks rained down from above. The enemy ships circled like sharks. Blake sent a final burst to Earth. Structure found. Hostiles engaged. Something's inside. Something old. Back at Earth Command. The message came through. The council stood in silence. One of the oldest members, silent for years, finally spoke. We didn't destroy it last time. We buried it. We hoped it would never be found. Another whispered. The humans found it. And now the stars will tremble again. The shadow spear burned through space, dodging energy blasts and guided missiles. Behind it, 3 unknown alien ships chased with deadly precision, fast, silent, merciless. Commander Blake sat at the helm, jaw tight. We can't outrun them forever. We won't, Mira said. She stood beside the emergency weapons panel. I've set the ship to loop around the structure. It'll give us cover, maybe. Lena looked over from the gunnery station. They're not shooting to destroy, they're trying to force us back. Tom grunted. Why? What are they guarding? Blake answered coldly. Not guarding. They're trying to make sure we don't wake it up. The ship dove into the gravity shadow of the ancient structure. As it twisted behind one of the outer rings, the enemy ships backed off, just slightly. They're scared of something here, Kai said. Blake nodded. That thing inside, the Guardian, it's not just a prisoner. It's a last weapon. Mira turned. So what do? Wake it up? What if it's worse than the enemies chasing us? Or, Tom added, what if it's the only thing that can stop them? Lena spoke quietly. They already destroyed 1 human ship to stop this secret. They nearly started a war. That means this matters. Back on Earth, the Council received the full report. An ancient structure, a being locked inside. Unknown ships trying to prevent awakening. One council member said, we should tell them to leave, don't poke it. Another replied, the enemy already is poking. They're coming. Earth won't be ready next time. The highest-ranking general stood. Let the team decide. They're there. They've seen it. We trust them. On board the Shadow Spear, Blake stood in front of his team. We vote, he said. Do we awaken it or leave? One by one, they answered. Tom, wake it. I trust our fists, but we'll need more than fists soon. Mira, too many lies already. We need truth, even if it's buried in a monster. Lena, the stars are already afraid. I want to know why. Kai, I want to see what made even ancient empires whisper. All eyes turned to Blake. He didn't hesitate. Prepare for landing. They returned to the core chamber. The pod still floated, the figure inside unmoving. Blake placed his hand on the console beside it. The structure hummed. The lights dimmed. Then, movement. The pod slowly lowered to the ground. The energy cage surrounding it faded. The being inside opened its eyes. They were silver, endless, heavy with time. It looked at each of them, without speaking, without blinking. Then a voice entered their minds. You are not like the last ones. Blake stood firm. We found you. Others tried to stop us. They fear what I am, but they also fear what you are becoming. Tom frowned. What does that mean? The voice answered, you have awakened more than me. You have awakened your place in the stars, Mira asked. What are you, a weapon? The being replied, I was built when the first stars burned. I am the last answer when peace fails. I do not choose sides. I end wars that should never begin. Blake nodded slowly. We may need you. Not yet, the being replied. But soon. It stepped out of the pod, towering and silent. The walls of the chamber began to shift. Ancient machines stirred. Lights glowed along the floor. Then the being turned back. I will wait, but not forever. When the darkness comes again, call me. Back aboard the Shadow Spear, the enemy ships were gone, fled, vanished the moment the being woke. Blake watched from the deck as the structure slowly sealed itself again. Not locked, not hidden, waiting. Back on Earth, the Council played the last message from the Shadow Spear, Blake's voice. We found what they feared. We woke it. It didn't destroy us. It listened. We are no longer just humans in space. We are a force. They started this by burning one of our ships. But now the galaxy knows. Earth doesn't forget, and Earth doesn't run. In quiet corners of distant galaxies, the message echoed. In war rooms and royal halls, alien leaders rewound the video again and again, and in the silence after it ended, they whispered to each other, "Never provoke Earth. Never again."